My book, Under A Cornish Sky, came out in paperback yesterday, and included at the back of it are some of my picnic tips and favorite family recipes. And I'm going to run through a very easy one, and it's a long-time family one. It's one my grandfather used to make, and we've always called it Irish bread, and it's based on an Irish soda bread recipe, but it sits kind of halfway between a cake and a bread, and it's ideal for picnics, and it's easy and it's fast, and it's what I do if we suddenly wake up and it's a glorious day and we want to rush out onto a beach or a boat. So the ingredients are 3 cups of plain flour, half a cup of sugar, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and those are US teaspoons, not the little English ones. So if you're using an English teaspoon, which is great for taking a tea bag out, but not what I used growing up for this recipe, what you want to do is make it a heaping teaspoon. A good pinch of salt. I use Cornish sea salt, of course, and when I was growing up, the Irish bread always had caraway seeds, so sort of half a teaspoon of caraway seeds. I stopped doing it when I started making this for my children because they thought it looked like there were bugs in the bread, but it does add a lovely flavor. I probably should try introducing it again and see if they'd eat it now, because they're all big. Also goes in a cup and a quarter of milk. If your milk has gone slightly off, it's even better. Doesn't happen in our household very often because frequently we either have no milk or it's all gone. 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Again, it's an eyeball measurement. It's not one that's precise, and I just stick it in a ramekin and microwave it, and 1 large egg. So as I said, it's a 1-in recipe. So I have measured things out before to make this video quicker, and to have me in front of the camera for a shorter amount of time. So 3 cups of flour in. Half a cup of sugar. Now, if I'm making this for adults, I tend to use slightly less because with the raisins, you don't need the sweetness. But if you're doing it for children, definitely do it. I've also used the fake sugar, the natural fruit, not fruit sugars, the malatols and so forth, stevia and so forth, and it works just as well. And I've also used spelt flour to make the bread as well. And as I mentioned, the 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a good pinch of salt going in, my raisins, and as I said, I tend to mix the dry ingredients together, one to just make sure that the raisins are reasonably distributed at least at the start, because they tend to cling to each other. Then I make a well in the middle, and I realize that I've left my butter in the microwave. I have. So melted butter goes in. I've got the camera angled at the wrong thing, so you can't actually see me doing this. Egg goes in, and now I'll measure up the milk. Now, the 1 cup measurement, what I found is, because it's a US, well, it's not a US recipe, it's an Irish recipe because it's come from my grandfather, but we've always used the cup measurement, and traveling around the world, I didn't always have a set of US measuring cups with me. So if I was consistent with the cup that I used and followed everything down accordingly, it works just the same. So 1 cup and a quarter of milk. And the other thing is, depending on how you like your bread, the texture can come out very differently. I'm going to try and take the camera and point it down. So hopefully you can see that it's all in and come back up. And I'm using simply a big metal spoon to stir it. I tend to like the mixture quite dry, which produces a more crumbly cake type bread, but not always practical if you're taking it on a picnic because it will fall to pieces. So you may want to add a little more milk to the equation, which produces a more cake-like result. Traditionally, these were made in iron skillets, cast iron skillets, which is what my grandfather had. I have recently inherited my great aunt's, much to my delight, and I use that too. The baking time in a skillet is less. The normal way, or the way I've made it for years until I had a skillet, was in, I just use a Pyrex dish, liberally buttered, and so forth. So I've been talking to you while I mix it, so we're gonna go down in again, and you can see that's pretty much it. And now I'm going to talk to you again, and maybe I can edit out those tipping the camera shots, but maybe not, and put it into the buttered Pyrex dish. Okay, and here we go again. Oops, sorry about the hand on the camera. Looking down, there it is. And just like that, I put it into the oven. And as I say, I set my timer for about 40 minutes and check it then just in case, but roughly it's 45 minutes. It should be golden on the top. And the way I love it best is slightly warm and with plenty of butter on it, but it doesn't need that. And the other tip is, if you're taking it out, cut it in advance, because taking a big knife with you on a picnic has problems of its own. So there are many other recipes included in the back, including pancake recipes and all sorts of things, and tips for making picnicking a little bit easier with kids. So that's it. And I will tack a picture on of one I made earlier at the end of the video. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.